All right, everyone. It's time to harass the far right now, since I was mean to the far left about the nonsense about the right to be able to choose who your clients are as an agency for adoption. And this one comes across, and this is from Russia. This is such an outrage that Russian news is reaching my damn Facebook page here in the United States about a transgender doll. Can you could believe this? It's a girl doll, but she has a penis. And this is outrageous, even though it's a scientific fact that, there are obviously hermaphrodites, and apparently it's increasing, a lot more children being born with both genitalia. And many countries around the world actually have the child wait until about age 10 before they make the decision whether or not they want to be male or female. And then they have the operation, because there's been issues with people just like, oh, we do a blood swap and oh, she's a female, so we'll cut the penis off, or vice versa. And then like 10 years later, the child's like, you know, a girl or a boy, obviously, and the genitalia has been removed. And so it's kind of funny when you see stuff like this, because they say, oh, this is sexualizing children, or this is a bad example to children, or this is it for children. But these same people who are so outraged about a transgender doll are totally okay with using like my book of Bible stories or other Bible story books that clearly endorse violence to young children. Like, well, this is Noah's Ark, a fantasy story that never really happened, but well, that's not important. But what does the story tell? The story tells of innocent people dying in a flood, because obviously millions of people could not be reached by Noah himself. And these people all had to die for apparently no reason whatsoever, because the world was full of violence. Okay, and so you have literally genocide of millions of people besides eight. You have the story of Cain and Abel, where someone was jealous and so he gets to murder his son. And in the Jehovah's Witness book, there's literally blood in the picture. That's what I grew up with, with things like that. You have to learn the story about Jesus being nailed to a cross or a stake, whatever your religion is in that sense. And this is all totally acceptable to raise a 2-year-old child up with. Uh, but a transgender doll, on the other hand, that's completely an evil thing, because I don't know, because just because it's a transgender doll doesn't make it sexual. You are making it sexual. Okay, and so you could have a daughter who looks like that, and you finally found a doll that she can relate with and not feel like a freak. You ever thought about that? Is this doll going to sell millions and millions and be the next big Tickle Me Elmo? No, obviously not. But you don't really look at all the different situations of it. Some people might have a daughter who is a hermaphrodite, and now she can feel like less of a freak because she has a doll that looks like her. Uh, I mean, it's the same thing essentially of why do all dolls have different skin colors and things like that, so the girl can relate to it, you know. And so that's just my thoughts on that and the hypocrisy and that kind of things. And even in my religious upbringing, I can't speak for other ones. I don't know how people went to church. I know a lot of churches separate children from the adults, and they have a different sermon from the pulpit. Jehovah's Witnesses keep them all together, and so all the sexual sermons that came from the stage, talking about homosexuality, sins of oral sex, anal sex, all different types of sex, bestiality, all from the stage. Everything the Bible mentions was given to all ages, and they were all together. And so I was a 4-year-old. I knew exactly about oral sex by 4 easily. I knew about anal sex. I knew about all those different forms of sexuality at a very, very young age due to the fact of my church upbringing. And so these same people have an outrage over a transgender doll, probably, I don't know all, but are probably sexualizing their children more. And so many of these people also like to throw fits about the stupid drag queen library reading, whatever that is. The parents are buying the tickets, okay? And so they bring their children. As parents, they have a right to watch trans people read to their children. Granted, I have seen some videos of I don't know, they were kind of like stripping and then putting money in the clothes, but they weren't naked. I mean, that is inappropriate. But where are we going to draw the line? You know, are we going to say that you can't show your kids rated R movies and they can be taken away from you because there's a sex scene in there? I mean, most Netflix movies now have sex scenes, full on breasts, you know, sexuality and things like that. And so yeah, so it's stupid. You know, if somebody wants to buy their daughter a trans doll or their son a trans doll, good for them. You know, I hope it makes their children happy. There's so much worse things in the world to worry about, and the fact that this is an issue is just laughable to me. But anyways, the link is in the description.